get it out of the way, Austin, your reaction to Terry Francona taking the Cincinnati job.
Very happy for him. Really
Surprised
good.
you at all, or I mean, you were pretty tight with Tito while he was here.
No, I mean, if you hire a Hall of Fame manager, it's probably a good decision.
What has this playoff been like? I mean, how now that we're getting closer to the start of this series, how have you guys been just dealing with these days off?
I mean, it's weird. There's nobody in our clubhouse that has ever gone through something like this before, so we're figuring it out as we go. But based off of how, we've competed and prepared the last few days, I think we're more than ready. Obviously, we're rested. It's fun to compete against ourselves, but we're dying to go compete against the rest of the world, and I think we're right where we need to be going into tomorrow.
Austin, how have you seen Tanner Bibee grow as a pitcher this year?
I think coming into the year, he had a lot to. He wanted to prove a lot to the world. That it wasn't just a good rookie year. Obviously, his rookie year was outstanding, and then what he did this year, I thought he grew up so quickly. A lot of guys like him that are really fiery and competitive tend to get emotional on the mound when things don't go their way. And I think early in the year, he showed some tendencies to do that. And my goodness, he made an adjustment maybe 15 starts ago or so. And the calm, cool, collected guy is out there every pitch, no matter what bad situation happens. The way he responds to adversity looks like a 10-year vet out there.
Austin, you were on a team last year, that caught fire at the right time and just sort of steamrolled through the postseason. Detroit obviously is riding a lot of momentum and is hot at the right time. What's it like in that environment, in that clubhouse, and what kind of challenges does that present to you guys who've been sort of waiting back and waiting to take them on?
I think that's one of the biggest challenges of getting that first round bye is you're playing against a team that just won a playoff series. There's nothing, there's no bigger momentum you can have than coming off a playoff win. We know the Tigers have been hot for a long time now. It's not just a playoff win; like they've been the best team in baseball for a long time. But they've played us tough all year. We have our hands full, but we're prepared. And the way we see it is, it's not really about who we're facing. Because ideally we still got to beat 3 more teams to do what we're trying to do. And this is just the first stop for us to just go play our ball.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a lot of good advice from guys who have been through that situation before, and just trying to do the best to get keep the body ready to go. I think it's important to keep your feet and legs fresh, and kind of make it like you haven't stopped playing games. So that's kind of what we've tried to keep doing.
Did you talk
A little bit. I had gone through a couple of I guess in 2019, the playoffs, I was hurt, but just watching kind of how they prepped also kind of had that in the back of my head. And then, obviously some guys had played in the playoffs recently, like Hedges. So, we've gotten some good advice.
This team was playing well before you even got here, and then you're joining a team that had already kind of hit its stride. How challenging were those first few weeks for you to try to kind of fit in and just get your own rhythm?
Yeah, it was tough. I feel like this team has done a good job of, accepting me and making me feel, like I kind of belong here. So that was refreshing after the first couple of weeks. So it feels like, we're moving in the right path for sure.
In the playoffs, it doesn't really matter who you're facing. Everyone's going to be good. Everyone is a playoff pitcher, and everyone's a playoff team. Obviously, Scooble won the Triple Crown, so he's about as good as it gets out there. But the rest of the arms on that Tigers team are really good as well, and they pitched us good all year. But we have 13 games of experience against them this year, so we have a lot of information to go on, and I feel like the boys have a really good plan going into the series.
Lane, how have you adjusted to playing mostly center field?
I came up playing a lot of center field, my first couple years in the big leagues, and Yeah, I've adjusted well. I feel like the reads off the bat are a little bit easier. There's a lot more ground to cover, but I think I'm starting to get my feet under me, and it feels good.
Lane, you mentioned 2019, but as you prepare to, play in your first postseason, do you have any postseason memories growing up, or is there something specifically that you're most excited about in playing in this environment?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this is a great place to play in the postseason. I got to watch some cool games, and I think was it 2016. So I've heard nothing but good things. So I'm excited to play in front of the fans that have been supporting us, all year.
For both you guys, we're seeing bullpen games more and more. As a hitter, how different is that to adjust to? Typically you would get a starter 2 or 3 times through. Now you're getting a guy, potentially, new guy every inning.
Yeah, we have a lot of information, so I think it's kind of taking what you need, and whatever information you like. Some guys are different. Just knowing what kind of fastball and what secondary stuff, and kind of building a plan around that is, I think, the most important part. And not kind of changing that as the at bat goes along. Kind of just going up there with a plan and rolling with it.
You talked about having the experience of facing them 13 times already this year, but you haven't faced them since the end of July. It's been almost 2 months, and they've had some additions. They've a couple of new arms in the bullpen, new shortstop that really have come on over this last stretch. So is there anything different in the preparation for guys you haven't seen yet?
I mean, when we're going over their hitters or any pitchers that we haven't faced, like we have to use a lot more data instead of experience. So, any of the arms or the hitters that we face throughout the year, we have a lot of at-bats going off of that. And so we're going to, use that more than anything. But the other guys, it's just like a normal season where, you gotta have some type of plan off of the numbers and the data that you get, but then also just relying on strengths. So it's like, with our pitchers, like we're going to lean on our pitchers' strengths and what makes them great. That's what we did all year. And then as hitters, like I think it's the same thing. Like there's not too many different plans to have in the batter's box, and our team does a really good job of, staying true to themselves and what our identity is. So like no matter really who we're facing, the plan doesn't really change off of like what you're looking for. Yes and no. Our team is really, really prepared. From our coaching staff and up top, we have a lot of guys that work really, really hard to, find ways for us to have an advantage in a game or in a series. But I think one of the things that makes us great is we don't rely on it. We still go play baseball. When it comes to our, I know from the catching side, Bo and David and myself, we're watching the game. I think that's one of the things that gives us an advantage is there's a book for everything. There's a number and data for everything, but trusting what your eyes see in the game is the real information that you want to lean on. And I think our group does a really good job of that.
Is there more data that you're being fed this year than in the past?
Yes and no. There's some new things, but also no. It's very similar.
Lane, since I've asked Hedges so much about the bullpen, I was going to ask you, since you're as close to that door as anybody else when it opens up, what kind of comfort level does it give a team when the bullpen is as consistent and as dominant as this one has been?
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes some pressure off when we have those 1-2 run leads, because those guys are coming in and shutting that door. So I think that definitely helps, but it definitely doesn't make us want to take our foot off the pedal. We still want to go out and take good at bats and put some pressure on their guys deep in those bullpens.
Stephen, with them right now, it doesn't look like they've named a starter for Saturday. How does that? What's that do to your preparation?
I think it's just the normal preparation that we always do. We're always prepared for anything that may come our way, and obviously we're familiar with the Tigers and the bullpen strategies that they've deployed. So we'll be ready for kind of anything that gets thrown our way, and we prepare for everything.
What's the anticipation been like this week? Does this feel like it's been the longest week ever, just trying to build up to what you guys have been working towards all season?
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's been great for our guys. It's been great for them to get the rest, the preparation. We've been able to really go over some little things and get everybody excited. And it was kind of interesting the first 3 days not knowing who we're playing, so there was no direction, especially for me. It felt like the first few days of spring training where I don't know what to do with my hands. But then once we found out we were going to be playing Detroit, it was time to kind of bear down and start preparing. So the guys have put in a great week of work. They've worked really hard to make it as game-like as possible, so we feel really good going into tomorrow.
Stephen, how have you seen Tanner Bibee grow this season to give him the ball on game one?
Yeah, I think Tanner from the beginning, he had a great year last year, put himself on the map, and then kind of went through some early season, I'm not going to call them struggles, but kind of had a few hiccups for the first time in his major league career. And really since then, he's bared down. He's competitive. This kid wants the ball in big moments, and Tanner wants to be the guy. He believes that he's a number one, and we do too. And I'm really excited to see him showcase that in the playoffs.
Stephen, you mentioned, how weird it is not knowing who you're playing. How quickly does that start? As soon as Detroit gets that last out, are we on the phone immediately starting those meetings, or do you take at least a couple hours to digest before you dive in?
I don't know if you've had any time to digest anything over the last 7 months. It's just continual. But, like I said, we were prepping for both teams, brain going in 100 different directions. But, once that final out happened in Houston, we were able to really put the focus into that. And our team, our group, our coaching staff, our front office analysts, they've done a phenomenal job preparing for our games all season long. Our cadence doesn't change. Everything stays the same of how we've done it all year long. And we know the Tigers really well. And so this is going to be a really fun series to watch.
Stephen, your predecessor, his name escapes me, is back in baseball. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Tito being hired by the Reds.
I think it's great. Tito obviously is somebody I've looked up to. He's helped me tremendously this year, and to see him back in baseball, we want the best people working in baseball, and Tito's definitely one of them. Surefire Hall of Famer. The Ohio Cup's going to be a much bigger deal now. But I think I couldn't be more thrilled for Tito and for the Reds. They're getting a good one. Obviously, you all know that better than I do. But like I said, when the best people are in the game's a better place. So I'm really excited for Tito.
Stephen, you mentioned locking in after you found out it was going to be Detroit and the hard work and the preparation and everything that's going in. We just spent a couple minutes in the clubhouse there, and it's as loose as we've seen it in a while. The guys are active and vocal and talking. Just how happy does that make you feel just to know that they're working hard but also feeling good about themselves right now?
That's who this group is. They've been the way all year. They hold themselves to that. It's have fun. We've treated every game like a playoff game. You heard Hedges say it. You heard David say it. You hear the whole team say we've treated every game like a postseason game. That's how we've managed it. That's how we've coached it. It's one day at a time. And we just need to keep our same cadence, and we'll go for it. And our guys are going to have fun. This is an opportunity. We talked about the hard part's over. Navigating 162 games and finishing, winning your division, the hard part's over. Now go have fun. Let's go compete. Let's go be who we are, and let's show the world who we are.
How do you know when you're done preparing? Like, will you say at 7 p.m. tonight you're closing the textbook, or will you fall asleep at 3 in the morning watching video of Tyler Horton?
Holton. No, I mean, we have our coaching staff might be doing that for me, and until I see their lineup and who they're pitching and their roster, my work's not done. So it's you got to see, and then you're always learning and you're always watching. So I don't think the work ever stops. But I should be able to go to sleep tonight, and I'm excited. It's like Christmas Eve. Tomorrow's the day we get to go.
With the lineup, when you don't know who's going to pitch against you, how many different lineups are going through your head right now?
Quite a few. Obviously we're still finalizing roster stuff too. So we have a lot of decisions to make still, and but got 4 or 5 lineups written down, and we'll just read and react to what they do.
How did Cobb come in feeling today after throwing yesterday?
Yeah, he's feeling well. He feels really good. We were really happy with the way he threw the ball. So, like I said, we have some decisions to make over the next, however long we have till 10 o'clock tomorrow. But, it was good to see Alex coming in feeling good.
Tanner, you the Tigers, I think July 29th, at that point, they're like 5 games under 500 and 14 games out of it. You have a lot of respect for them. But,
Yeah.
do you expect to see them here?
I mean, you always think that throughout one point of the season, a team will get hot, whether it's a short stretch, a long stretch. So I think they were kind of playing baseball, trying to find who they were. I feel like their identity, and when they finally found their identity, they really kicked it into gear. So I mean, they've done a great job this past, what was it, month and a half, 2 months that they've been playing baseball. So yeah, they're a really good team.
What kind of problems does that lineup present?
I mean, I think they're kind of similarly built to us. It's like very grindy. They'll really kind of wear you down. Wait till they get their pitch, and then they're not going to punch out a lot. I think they're just going to put the ball in play.
Going to right to Zach.
As you guys kind of sputtered to the finish line last year, how much did you crave like this sort of opportunity?
I mean, I feel like this is what you dream of when you're a kid. I mean, obviously, dream of the World Series, playing the World Series, but I mean, this is the road to the World Series, and it's kind of just as important games because every game now means exponentially more than the last. So, I mean, I feel like, the difference between this year and last year is that last year I was sitting at home watching whatever, football, baseball, whatever, and now we're here playing it. So it's way better.
What are your emotions like right now going into tomorrow? Just the excitement level, and then just like, what's this week been like of knowing this was coming and the anticipation building for you? And do you allow yourself to have any expectations for what this atmosphere will be like?
I feel like it didn't really hit me till I figured out who we were playing. And once Detroit won that series, it was like, oh, this is getting real. And I've had butterflies ever since, and it's really exciting. I mean, I'm excited to see the fans come and pack it out. I'm excited to feel the energy. I mean, I know Hedges won't close the yearbook on last year, so we hear from him a lot. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Going in front of him, Jack.
So you just mentioned butterflies. Will you be more nervous? Are you nervous? Do you get nervous before a game in the regular season?
Yeah, every start.
And it's so low. Will you be more nervous in this playoff atmosphere?
I don't know if I'll be more nervous, but I feel like there would definitely be a lot more adrenaline. I mean, I feel like the bigger crowds you have, I feel like naturally, wherever you are, I mean, I feel like you're going to have more adrenaline, whether you're facing more people, or facing people with more people in the crowd. I mean, stuff like that. I feel like maybe a little bit, but I mean, hope that's a day game and don't got to sit around all day.
Stay on the right phone.
Tanner, you faced them 4 times this season. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
I don't think it's really either because I feel like they're a super different team. I mean, they got Sweeney over there, who they got in the trade. Meadows, I didn't face Meadows this year, but I faced him in the minors. Torkelson's been up and down, but I feel like they're a very different team. They had Canna, Ursula before. It's a very different team. So I think, I've faced them, they faced me. I feel like it's not really a advantage or disadvantage.
Manny, you know?
Do you remember how old you were when you first had a dream of like pitching in playoff baseball?
I mean, definitely single digit age. I'd probably have to be like 5. I mean, I feel like everyone in the backyard was like kind of under your breath, like 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded. I feel like everyone went through that. So I feel like ever since I was like 5 years old, probably did something similar to that.
Anything else for Tanner? We'll go Paul.
Tanner, the one game where, Vogt came out and left you in, what did that do for your confidence, and have you been a different pitcher since then?
I think it only made me get a little more comfortable in, I don't want to say my role, but maybe just where I stood that day. I mean, rough start to the year, but I think that outing was definitely the turning point of my season at that point. And I mean, you guys have heard the story. I mean, it's just kind of the shock value to the lock back in to getting him. I feel like it's just the validation it can give you in a big moment like that, in a big game against a division rival. This is going to be roughly the same thing. I feel like we had a pretty good crowd that day too. Obviously, not as much on the line, but It's very similar.
Anything else for Tanner? All right, Tanner, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, guys.